What are your secrets, Fisk? There's money to be made from secrets.
Alright, so I've kind of been slacking on Spider-Man content lately, considering I started trying to build my brand off of it, but with my most popular video being a breakdown of the trailer for Spider-Man 2, I'd have to be a little stupid to not follow that up at some point. Spider-Man 2 gets closer every day, and I've had some time to actually think about what I think is coming. And honestly, I've got a good feeling that I'm right on the money. Hello everybody, and welcome to Cubone. My name is Quentin. Between Venom, the Lizard, and the Shocker, and potentially some other smaller threats like Taskmaster, the Wraith, Tombstone, and Kraven if you're into that sort of thing, Spider-Man 2 is already lining up to be an extremely packed game. But I don't think all of the surprises have been spoiled just yet. Back in the first game, a lot of time was spent on the mystery of what happened to Harry Osborne. Having disappeared before the events of the game, we find out through the game's runtime that Harry was dying from some unnamed illness, leading to the reveal that Harry's being kept in Norman's secret lab, bonded to the Venom symbiote to keep him alive. Now, of course, with the new game, we're getting a better look at what's coming with Harry, but there was more in the first game than Norman was working on. In Grand Central Terminal, we see an Oscorp showcase of tech, including a drone looking similar to a certain glider, cloaking tech, nanobots, and some other generic military tech like missiles and hacking tech. It's kind of easy to miss if you don't know to look for it, and could just be brushed aside as just things that Oscorp happens to be working on. Except that at a later point in the game, MJ breaks into Osborne's penthouse, and if you look around, you can find a prototype helmet, references to Mendel Stromm and Van Adder, the two scientists that made the Goblin Serum in the comics, as well as hand grenades in the lab. And of course, the whole plot revolving around the infamous GR-27, most likely hinting toward a future GR project to make a Goblin Serum. None of this is focused on by the game, the focus instead being on the spiders that give Miles his powers, and later on the focus is directed towards the tank hiding Harry and the symbiote. For those paying attention though, it's clear that Norman's working towards a hobby of helping arachnid-themed heroes to snap the necks of blonde girlfriends everywhere. I'm far from the first person to notice these things, of course, and there are more than a handful of videos discussing what this could mean going forward for Norman. Hell, until the trailers started coming out for Spider-Man 2, there were plenty that still thought Norman would be the main bad guy of the game. But I've thought about it a bit, and I thought of something I think would make a much cooler way to introduce us to the tech we'll inevitably face in the third game. For the aging 90s Spider-Man fans in the crowd, you might see where I'm going with this. In Season 1 of the 90s show, they introduced us to Norman Osborn as this corrupt tech mogul, but he didn't become the Green Goblin until seasons later. Instead, he hired a man named Jason Macendale to use Osborne technology to do his dirty work, under the moniker of the Hobgoblin. We've already seen Osborne take steps similar to this in the game with the hiring of the Sable International troops, but I believe that in the sequel, he's going to go for a more personal angle. Of course, we know that the true main villain of this game is going to be Harry Osborn in the Venom symbiote, but I somehow don't see the control freak Norman Osborn just letting his son go free to do what he wants. Whether Harry escapes and is on the run, or if he's let out by Norman after being healed by the symbiote, Norman would not just let things go. At bare minimum, he'd have him follow. If Harry starts causing problems as Venom, especially if people die, then Norman would want to make sure that Harry's bodyguard would be well equipped to handle whatever is thrown at him. So I think it's absolutely possible that we could see a version of the Hobgoblin show up in the story and become a side mission later on. This would let us get a taste of goblin-y goodness before Norman dons his mask in the threequel a couple years from now. In fact, the failures of this hypothetical Hobgoblin could be what leads him to take on his Emerald Hue. Perhaps in the events of the story, Harry dies and Norman snaps because of it. What we've gotten of Norman so far has seemed douchey, certainly not deserving of his mayoral title, but evil? I don't know I'd go that far, and I certainly wouldn't say that he's the batshit crazy goblin we know and love. But seeing his son die at what he sees as the hands of Spider-Man? Oh yeah, that's how you get a supervillain, baby. That's my little conspiracy theory, at least. I wrote this script up in less than an hour before I ran to work, so if there's anything stupid in this video or if I have any details wrong, that's why. But go ahead and let me know how stupid I am in the comments below. Who knows, maybe everything I said was wrong and the twist villain will actually turn out to be Big Wheel in the third act. Until we find out, remember to be gay, do crimes, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Little afterword here. I know I sounded a little out of it through this video, so sorry about that. I lost my second hard drive and lost a lot of data because of it. This is my first video since then, so again, I apologize. Secondly, I forgot to talk about something here. Nothing major, I was just thinking about how happy Insomniac was about the PS5 having so much more power, and how that meant they could add things like the web wings. And that just made me think how cool it would be if we got a chase scene, yeah, you all know how I feel about those, with the Hobgoblin on a glider, and we have to book it, chasing him down using all of our tricks to keep up. I think that'd be awesome. Anyway, I'll leave you alone now. Bye-bye.